Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. Today I'll be doing my tips of round 7 of the 2024 NRL season. Last week I got 5 out of 8 correct. A lot of close games in round 6 and it doesn't get any easier in round 7. A lot of tough matches to call. A lot of games could go either way, so let's get started with the first match, which is kicking off on Thursday night. And the first match to kick off round 7 is Sydney Roosters against Melbourne. This one's being played at the new Sydney Football Stadium. The head-to-head between these two sides is 48 matches played. Melbourne's won 29, Sydney Roosters have won 19. Last time these two sides met were in the second week of the final series, the elimination semi-final. Melbourne won 18 points to 13 in a controversial ending to the match down there at Emu Park. Some people feel that Sydney Roosters were ripped off in that match and they lost the match by 5 points. Both teams won their respective matches last week by 2 points. Melbourne had to come from behind to beat Canterbury, and Sydney Roosters, with a few players out, managed to defeat Newcastle by 2 points. Looking at the injury lists, with Eastern Suburbs, they've still got a few players out, it looks like. Dominic Young, Sandon Smith, Leniu, Billy Smith and Satili Tupanua is also expected not to play in this game. As for Melbourne, it looks like Kamil Kamika might not play in this game. And also, I've read that Ryan Pappenhausen has escaped suspension for the hip drop tackle, and a lot of people have said that he should have been suspended, but for some reason he hasn't. But anyway, he'll be playing in this match on Thursday. This is a really tough game to call, could go either way. If Ryan Pappenhausen were suspended for this match, I'd probably go with the Sydney Roosters, but I have a feeling that Melbourne will win this game, so I will go for Melbourne to win the match by 1 to 12 points. And the first match on the Friday is between St George and New Zealand. This one's being played at WIN Stadium in Wollongong. These two sides have met 36 times. St George have won 24 and New Zealand have won 12. With the venue being WIN Stadium in Wollongong, New Zealand don't often play matches there. In fact, since 1995, when they've come into the competition, they've only ever played 15 times there, and their record there isn't good at all. They've only won 3 times there, lost 11, and there's been 1 draw. Looking at the injuries for both sides, with New Zealand, they've got an extensive one. Jazz Tavonga, Bunty Afoa, Dylan Walker, Luke Metcalf, Bunty Afoa, and also Maratan Niakori won't be in this match. As for St George, the only player that it looks like might not play is Jack Bird, but this NRL injury list thing isn't very accurate, as I've discovered in the last couple of weeks. Now, last week New Zealand had a draw against Manly in Auckland, and I think they were lucky to get the draw. Sean Johnson should be nominated for an Academy Award. As for St George, they had a comfortable win in Campbelltown over West Tigers. For this match, I wouldn't rule out St George winning entirely. I do give them a small chance of winning this game. However, New Zealand, throughout all 6 previous rounds, have played very consistently. Even though they've lost a couple of the games, they've still looked good throughout all 6 matches. So I'm going to go for New Zealand to win by 1 to 12 points on the Friday. And the main match on the Friday is between Parramatta and Redcliffe. This one's being played at TIO Stadium in Darwin. These two sides have only ever met 1 previous time before this, and it was last year. Parramatta defeated Redcliffe 48 points to 20. Parramatta's record in Darwin since taking an annual game up there, which I believe started in 2015, has been okay. They've played 10 matches up there, won 6 of them, lost 3 and played 1 draw. However, once again, they're taking a game up there and they're playing it against the Queensland side, which I don't think is the smartest option in the world, considering that Darwin's a hot place, Queensland's a hot place, so I'd imagine that the Redcliffe players would be more acclimatised to the heat than the Parramatta players would be. As for Parramatta, it doesn't look like they've got any injuries besides the ones that we all know about. However, for Redcliffe, Looks like Hamiso Tabuai-Fedor won't be playing. Cody Nikorima, Thomas Flegler, Herbie Farnworth, Felice Kaufusi. Looks like Max Plath might be back. Tom Gilbert's out for the season. And Kurt Donohue's also suspended, so he won't be playing in this match. So it looks like Redcliffe's going to be a bit depleted for this game. Now, I watched the game last week against North Queensland, and although Parramatta won, and a win's a win, there's a lot to improve on. There was a lot of errors in the game, a lot of brain explosions, a lot of daft plays. They nearly blew it in the end, but they managed to get over the line. And I did see an improvement in the team. The effort were a lot better. The defence was slightly better. Attack was slightly better as well. And that's the reason why I'm going to tip them this week to beat Redcliffe. Also coupled with the fact that Redcliffe have a few players out, along with Hamiso Tabuai-Fedor, which I think is a massive blow for Redcliffe. So I'm going to go for Parramatta to win by 1 of 12 points. And the first match on Super Saturday is between Penrith and West Tigers. This one's being played at Carrington Park in Bathurst. These two sides have met 40 times in the NRL. Penrith have won 25 of those and West Tigers have won 15. Penrith have taken 12 previous games out to Bathurst, and their record's not too bad out there. They've won 7 of those, lost 4, and there's been 1 draw. However, last year, we all remember, in the driving rain, West Tigers bottom of the table, they upset Penrith at Carrington Park. Last week, Penrith had the bye, so they'll be coming to this match fully fit and rested. As for West Tigers, disappointing loss out at Campbelltown against St George in a game where some people would have expected them to put up a better performance or win the game. And it just goes back to what I've said before. They won them 2 matches in a row. Everyone got excited, but once again, this is just another example of where West Tigers, they put in 1 or 2 good showings and then it's just back to the same old thing that we've seen for the last 10 years. Going off the injury list, it looks like Scott Sorensen, Nathan Cleary will be back for this game. As for West Tigers, it looks like Lachlan Galvin will be back for this match. For this match, I will go for Penrith to win this game. The fact that they're coming off the bye, Nathan Cleary is potentially coming back, and just that they'll be more fresher, fitter than West Tigers, and just the way West Tigers are playing at the moment, I can't tip them, especially against Penrith. So Penrith to win by 1 to 12, potentially 13 plus. And the second match on Super Saturday is between Gold Coast and Manly-Warringah. This one's being played at Suburbs Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. The last 2 times that these teams have played against each other, Gold Coast have won both of those. And surprisingly, in the head-to-head between the 2 clubs, it's been 26 matches played. Manly's won 14 and Gold Coast have won 12. So the Gold Coast have quite a good record against Manly. Now, as I mentioned earlier last week, I think that Manly, even though they got the draw, they should have won the game. They were very unlucky there. As for Gold Coast, another heartbreaking loss for them. They currently sit second last on the table, 0-5 to start the year. The only club left in the NRL yet to record at least 1 victory. And it doesn't look any easier for the Gold Coast with the fact that Jaden Campbell potentially won't be playing for a while with a knee or a leg injury, I believe. And another thing that doesn't make it easier for the Gold Coast is that if they fail to beat Manly this week, next week they play New Zealand away from home and then they have to play against Melbourne. So that's 2 matches where I think that they're going to stand a little chance of getting a result there. So they'll be desperate for a win against Manly. Of course, this is a real potential of a banana skin game for Manly. You got Des Hasler coming up against his former club in Manly, where he's had a lot of history as a player and as a coach. And yeah, the Gold Coast, they just have to win. It's just as simple as that. But for this match, I will go for Manly to win. Not too sure if it's going to be 13 plus, but I'll go 1 to 12. Manly's been playing pretty good this year throughout the first 6 rounds. Gold Coast have been the worst team in the NRL them and South have been the worst too. I don't know who's worse, but yeah, I'll go for Manly to win by 1 of 12 points on the Saturday. And the third match on Super Saturday is between Brisbane and Canberra. This one's being played at Suncorp Stadium. Brisbane and Canberra have met 56 times. Brisbane's won 32 of those. Canberra's won 23 and there's been one draw. Both of these sides had differing victories last week. With Brisbane, they kind of coasted the victory over Redcliffe in the Brisbane derby. With Canberra, they had a 1 point victory in golden point extra time against the strugglers Gold Coast. Both teams have got injury concerns as well. Adam Reynolds is still out. Brendan Piakura, Dean Mariner, Payne Haas might not play in this game. It looks like he's still out. As for Canberra, Zach Hoskin, he's got an injury to his shoulder. Corey Horsburgh's out till about round 11, round 13. Elliot Whitehead's still out. Jordan Rappin is out till about round 11, round 13. Now, with Canberra winning 4 of their first 6 matches, a lot of people are talking Canberra up, but I don't know, I'm not really convinced with them, to be fair, because in the 4 victories that they've had, they've beaten Newcastle, West Tigers, they beat a very poor Parramatta team, and I mean really poor, and they beat Gold Coast, who haven't won a game so far this year, by just the 1 point. Whereas in the 2 games that they've actually played against a decent opponent, a team that's expected to play in the finals, they lost against New Zealand and they lost against Cronulla. So this match at Suncorp Stadium, I think it's going to be a real test for Canberra to see exactly how good they really are going, because Brisbane's a quality side and they've already shown that a couple of times this year. For this match, it's a really hard game to call. It's one of the games of the round, I believe, but I'm going to go for the home side. I'm going to go for Brisbane to win, and I'm going to go for Brisbane to win by 1 to 12 points. And the first match on Sunday is between Canterbury Bankstown and Newcastle. This one's being played at Stadium Australia, and as just the tips say, this match is a real poo slinger. These two sides have met 55 times. There's been 28 wins to Canterbury, 26 wins to Newcastle and 1 draw, so very even between these two sides in the head-to-head department. Looking at the injury list for Newcastle, it looks like only Tyson Frizzell's going to be out. As for Canterbury, they've got an injury list very, very long. Max King looks to be out, Kurt Mann, Blake Taff, Harrison Edwards, Blake Wilson, Kurt Moran, Jacob Preston, Ryan Sutton, Saluka Fafita, they're all out, it looks, on the NRL injury list. Now with Canterbury last week, they went down by 2 points against Melbourne, and even though they lost the game, there was a lot of effort shown there. It was probably one of the best performances they've put in for a very long time, and they got very close to pulling off a major upset. As for Newcastle, they've had a very disappointing start of the season. They've only recorded the 2 wins. One of them was against a depleted Melbourne team without Jerome Hughes and Cameron Munster, and the other one was against a St George team in horrid conditions there at Marathon Stadium. These two sides played each other last year and both of them were absolute bloodbaths. Newcastle put on, in total over those 2 matches, 108 points, and Canterbury only scored 6, and one of their matches ended 66-0 to Newcastle. I don't know what it is though. I might sound a little bit crazy, but I actually think that Canterbury might win this game. I mean, even with all the players that they've had out, they've been showing a bit of heart in the games that they have been featuring in, and I'm not really sold on Newcastle, so I'm going to go for a bit of a risk and a bit of an upset. I'm going to go for Canterbury to beat Newcastle. I'll go for Canterbury to win by 1 to 12 points. And the final match to close out round 7 is between Cronulla Sutherland and North Queensland. This one's being played at Shark Park. These two sides have met 56 times. Cronulla's won 37, North Queensland's won 19. Some people consider this match to be a rivalry game. I did a video on this last year. If you haven't watched that video, go and check it out. But as I mentioned, there has been a few really big matches between these two clubs, especially in finals games, a few controversial ones at that, and there is a little bit of a grudge match feel to it. Now Cronulla at the moment currently sit top of the table. They have been playing some decent rugby to start the year. They've only really had the one disappointing loss, which were against West Tigers. As for the North Queensland side, as I mentioned earlier, I watched their game against Parramatta, and look, I don't think that they were awful by any means, but like Parramatta did, they did make a lot of errors in that game. They had a few things go against them, some calls. They did have 2 tries disallowed, but by no means would I say that they were awful or dreadful in that game. It's just that in the end they just fell short against Parramatta. I think this game between North Queensland and Cronulla could be really good because both teams, they certainly know how to attack and they know how to score points. I think for this match, I will tip Cronulla to win. Wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way, but I will go for Cronulla to win. It's at home. They have some players coming back, I believe, like Finucane, Bryce Hunt, etc. North Queensland, I think they've been okay to start the year, but I just have a feeling that Cronulla will win this match, so I'll go for Cronulla to win by 112 points. So those have been my tips for round 7 of the 2024 NRL season. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section below, and place your comments down below who you think is going to win in round 7. Thanks to everyone that tuned in for my video last week. It was the most watched video in the history of the Rugby League History YouTube channel. There was 6,700 people that tuned in to watch that video, so thanks very much to everyone that tuned in. But anyways, this has been Rugby League History. Thanks to everyone that's been supporting the channel, and I'll catch us all later in the next one. Alright, ta-ra for now.